Okay, so I've got the shell of the building starting to come together, and I want to do some work on the interior now, and I need some furniture to put into the interior. So it's a good way of demonstrating some different modelling techniques as well, and also ways of managing the things you model. So I want to put in some screens that I want to fit between these columns. And so I'm going to just measure between the two references, or just between the two columns there. And so you can see there it's 3, 4, 5, 7. So I'm just going to remember that number and go to make a new file. So the thought process here, and so my menus, yep, there we go, not coming up, but now it is. So the thought process here should be that you're thinking about whether the item's repeated, and if it is at all, if it's repeated even just once, so you have a single copy, then you should usually make a separate family file rather than using model in place. So you'll get all the same options whether you use model in place or make a separate family file, but if you use model in place, you're going to have problems if you need to duplicate the things you model that way. Yeah. So yeah, it's a big problem as well. Like I said, there is that trick of grouping it if you've used model in place. Using the group option can help you, but again, it's still better if you start out the right way, which is to make a new family file on the main menu. So I've gone to new and I'm going to choose family, and then it should take me straight to all of the templates. And these are actually really important things in Revit, because a lot of the tools that you need in Revit are only accessible via these templates. So, for example, lighting. You only get the option to set and control certain lighting parameters by using the lighting template. Yeah. Yeah, so it's one of those secrets in Revit. Some of the tools are actually hard-coded into these templates, essentially. So here, though, I'm making casework. Well, I'm making a screen, which I'm going to say is casework. It could also be furniture. And if you're wondering about the difference between those two templates, they're quite similar, but the casework template will make it a casework object style, which means in section it shows with cut lines being heavy, but furniture will never show with heavy cut lines. So everything shows as though it's in elevation, even if it's being cut by your section line, and that's good. So for things like office chairs, you don't want to see them with heavy lines even if they're being cut. Yeah. So that's a good thing. Most furniture that's not fixed doesn't need to show in the section that way.
That list is when we go in to create model in place.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, so making a new family. Oh yeah, so it's, yeah, that's right, it's similar. You're right, yeah, exactly. When you use model in place, it gives you a list of the categories, which is similar. This is actually a little bit bigger because there are a couple of categories that you don't have templates for. But yeah, they are pretty similar. So again, though, when you look at the list of templates, here you don't have, say, the wall category. So there is no wall template. You can't make a wall family this way. Yeah, that's right. You have to use model in place. Yeah. So there are a couple like that, but most things you can make a separate family file. So again, I'm going to use metric casework. And but really, what I want to show here is again those modelling techniques. So it's again a screen that I'm trying to make, and I'm going to put in that measurement that I took from the project straight away. So the width there is well, it's 3, 4, 5, 7 in total. So I'll straight away show you a trick that you have in families that you often can't do with projects, and that is if you select a dimension, you can adjust the measurement by clicking on the parameter. And you'll know if it's got a parameter because it'll have a name. So you can see there width is the name of the parameter. If I select that dimension, I can click on the value there and change that. So 3, 4, 5, 7 is the width that I've got to work with. but I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. I actually want a gap around the edge, so I'm going to make that 3400. And then, so you can see it's moved those reference planes. So normally you'd have to select the reference plane and then adjust the dimension. But again, because it's got that parameter, you can do it that way. So that's just a little thing. But then the depth as well, I'll set the same way. So it's only going to be 80 mil. But then also to help me while I work, I'm going to extend those reference planes just using the grips once I select them, and I'm just going to stretch them out so they go past.
With the reference planes, when I was using them in our plan,
Yeah.
if they were inside the walls, I couldn't sort of work with it.
Sure, yeah, so if you've got things on top of each other, I'll just draw something random. Maybe I'll do a model line or something. I'll just draw some lines over the top of this. So, okay, so I know there's a reference plane under that line, but if I go to select it, it's going to keep selecting the line. So, to select the reference plane, I just need to move the cursor over the line, and then I'm going to press Tab, and you can see it goes to the chain on the first press, but when I press it again, it's going to tell me on the bottom that it's got the reference plane.
I feel like I didn't even have lines,
Have a
and
quick-
that was just the grips were on the inside.
Yeah, but if they're on the wall, right, if it's on the edge of the wall, it'd be the same as this. Yeah.
Maybe I blocked it.
Maybe that should, you can still select things though if they're pinned. Or, yeah. So that's one option using Tab. Another way though is if you just click, this is probably easier most of the time, click and drag and go from right to left so that you're crossing over all of those things.
Yeah, okay.
And now you can see in brackets it's got two, so I know there are two things there. And if you go to filter, you can deselect, say, the lines and just leave the reference planes. Yeah. So now I know I've got the reference plane, even though I can't see it. It tells me over here as well. So I can just hit delete and it's gone. So now it's only got one in brackets there, so it's gone. So now I want that reference plane, so I'm going to undo that and go back. But yeah, those things definitely help a lot when you've got lots of things that are modeled together. So I want this to be a 3-panel screen, and so I'm going to draw in some reference planes in between these reference planes that have been dimensioned. So basically in line with the equal symbol will be good enough. It doesn't need to be very accurate here, so I'm drawing the reference planes pretty roughly, as long as they're, again, in between the other reference planes, because now I'm going to draw another dimension. So just using the Align Dimension tool, I'm going to go from the outside reference plane to the first one that I've drawn, and then the second one that I've drawn, and then the outside reference plane on the right. And then I'm just going to click somewhere below. No, if you hit enter, it'll repeat last command. Yeah. So this is just the last step. I'll give you a second to do this, but I'm going to click on the equals symbol there, and then you're going to see those reference planes now divide that equal into three sections.
I'm enjoying the reference line. Yeah, no, that's so cool.
So I mean, you can do this with just one screen. I'm doing three, but it doesn't really matter how many panels you've got. So now I'm going to start modelling. But that's right. That's right. And so I've got 3 identical screens, though, remember. So I'm not going to model that here. This file is going to contain all 3 screens, but I'm going to make them in yet another file. So I've just measured that distance there. I'm not going to make this screen adjustable, and you'll see why once I model it. So there, I've just measured that resulting equal dimension, and it's ended up being 1133. And so I'm going to again round that off, and because I do want a gap between these screens as well, so I'm going to make that 1100. And so I'm going to go back to make yet again another new family, and metric casework again. And so here I'm just going to make that width 1100. So the next one's a bit easier because you can see there it's got a pretty similar setup. I've just made, so again, this is a new file, made the same way, depth 80, and then I've made the width here 1100. Yep. New family, so new file. Yep. Yep. So now I can finally start doing some modelling, and so I essentially just want to do a rectangular frame to start with, and I could model that from the ground plane, I suppose, but the other option would be to model it in the front elevation. And so I think I'll show you both ways actually, just so it makes it really clear how you can work in different planes. So if I make an extrusion here, I'll just click on extrusion, and I'm going to make a rectangle, and I'm not even going to worry about locking or anything here. I'm just going to click 2 points to trace the rectangle over those reference planes. And I'll finish that, and then I'm going to go to the front elevation, and this is a common issue. Because it's still selected, it'll look strange, so you need to make sure it's deselected once you go to that view. Yeah, it'll be almost invisible. But if you just click into empty space to deselect it, and then right-click and zoom to fit, and yeah. So just make sure you zoom to fit, but it works better if you deselect it.
And that's my front elevation.
Yep, yep. So a good trick there now is to just select that extrusion. You can stretch it and snap it to the reference plane that sets the height, and then lock it. And then you can select that height dimension and use it to change the height. So I'm going to change the height to, I'll do 2100 for now, but you can make it any height you want. So all I wanted to show you there is if I want to make this into a frame now, I can go to create and then make a void extrusion under void forms there. So you can choose void extrusion. And so notice how it doesn't ask for the work plane. And it's because it's a family file. In a project, you'd have to define the work plane. But in a family, the work plane's already set up for you. Yep. So it makes your life a lot easier when you're making things like this. And so just by going to the front view, it's picked up the reference plane. It would actually be called front, you can see there.
Really, we should be doing this whenever we create.
Anything that's repeated. Yep.
Any casework.
Yep. Anything
Not
if
just, not just every single room or like
Yep.
copying it across.
Yep.
Just weird.
anything that's repeated. Any piece of furniture particularly. Yep.
This will be handy, you
Yep.
know, because look, both I should go back here.
Yep.
I just did for my family, like every.
Yep. Yep. And everyone learns the same way. That's what most people have done with Revit.
Actually do anything.
Yep.
It was just, oh, that's where that's going to go.
And that's okay, because you can have that as a placeholder and then replace it with a better one later. So that, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yep.
Cool.
So,
Screen.
oh yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. So now I can just, instead of drawing a rectangle, I'm going to go to this pick lines, and then put in an offset there. I'm just going to make that 80 as well. Yeah, offset doesn't work here because there's nothing to offset. Yeah, but usually you'll have that pick lines option, which lets you put in an offset value. It's really useful. Oh yeah, there's an offset tool as well, but it wouldn't work here because we've got nothing to offset. But we can use pick lines and then put in an offset. Yeah. So now I'm going to go onto the edge of one of those sides of the extrusion. But before I click anywhere, I'm going to, again, just make sure it's highlighting it. No, you want to be making the extrusion.
Unpick. How do I unpick?
Just, have you clicked on it?
Yeah, I clicked
Oh,
on
yeah, just undo. Just undo. Yeah. So now I'm going to press Tab, and again, and you can see it's chained in this direction. So I can then just click, and it's going to offset in from all four sides.
Can we go back and start again?
So yep. Yeah, I'll undo. So I'll go back to the
So you
beginning.
want pick lines on then offset.
Well, the first thing, so in the elevation view, I've gone to make, my void extrusion.
Yep.
And then, so then here I've just click pick lines,
Yep.
and then put in the offset there on the options bar.
Okay, I couldn't see that.
Yep.
Out of my vision.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Okay, and then we go tab.
Yeah, so when you move the cursor over the edge, you should see it'll offset one way or the other.
Yep.
So you've got to get it on the right side, and then usually press Tab after that. And but notice how it's not working because it's trying to go up here. It's tabbing through these different boxes. So to make it work, you can just click into an empty spot in the drawing area, and that wakes it up and puts the cursor there, essentially. So now,
Automatically do the whole thing, and then I can click something.
yeah, so once you've got Tab giving you the right option, then click, and it offsets all of those edges. So now just going to do the depth. So a good way of thinking of this is if you look in the, you don't need to change views, but if you look in this plane, or in this view, you don't need to change it, but I've just gone to the plan view, so you can see this is the plane we're drawing on, and it's going to go 250 one way or the other. But I'd say it's most likely it'll come this way, because this is the front plane. I'll just check it and see. I think it is. Yes, it's going the wrong way. So the extrusion end there, close that view, should be a negative value.
And minus 250.
Yep, it's fine. As long as it's thicker than the screen.
Is that too big? I feel like that's too big.
Even 100 would be enough because it's only 80 mil deep. And that's it. So I'm just going to click tick to finish and show you in the 3D view. It's disappeared again, but because this is a new file, but again I can just zoom to fit.
Right click, zoom. Oh, look at that, would you?
So nothing special, but it's a good example of modelling. And so
We just cut out the entire centre.
yeah,
That's the extrusion.
exactly. Yeah. So that's one way of doing it. But I'm just going to show you another way. You don't have to do this, but this is just so it's clear. I'm going to make.
Can I give you something today?
So I'm just going to make another extrusion in this view now. So all I've done there is go to the front view. I deleted everything, and then in the front view, I'm going to go and make an extrusion with a rectangle chasing the outside, and then I'll just offset the same way that, oops, not that one. Yep, so I've just offset those lines. So I'm doing it all in one. I'm not going to make a void here. I'm just going to make the extrusion end there minus 80. Okay, and so because I modelled the extrusion in the plane front, I can put the hole in as part of the sketch for that extrusion, and that saves me from making a void. So there's lots of ways of doing things, and often you don't need to make a void, but sometimes it can be easier to make the solid in one direction and then the void can be in a different direction. So now to do something interesting for the infill there, you could make maybe another extrusion in that front plane, and it's a good chance to put, say, a design or something in. So something you could sketch there, and you can even insert images to trace, which wouldn't be a bad idea here. But I was going to do, you know, sort of a tree or something. I don't know. Yeah. So depends on the sort of thing you want. So you could have a figurative sort of thing, or so. Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. So I'll just get an image. Yeah, 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 exactly. So I've got some different patterns here, and yep. So they're a bit too detailed, just take me too long, but they would be good. I'm just going to get something that's even more abstract. So these cutouts might be good, and
I've been wanting to know how to do this, but you know, it's so long.
so look, you can actually do them with materials as well. That's another option, and that's what these are actually for. But sometimes it is good to have it modelled. It looks a bit more solid.
That is so cool. Okay.
So
So we don't have to use some of those other modelling bits of software to model it. You can do it.
no, look, you can do most things, but most building components. In fact, almost every building component can be made with Revit.
What do you use 3ds Max and stuff for?
So for things that aren't building components, so furniture, lounge chairs and things like that, yeah, they're just too detailed and they have fabric and things like that that just don't work in Revit. So yeah, so 3ds Max is great for that. Also for animation, more complex materials, more complex lights, things like that. But again, here we can do most of it with Revit. So I'm going to click the image button, and yeah, it's just telling me that it's not going to be visible in projects, but I know that. So so I've got, if you're looking for some images, I've got a material images folder in interior design on the P drive. Yep, 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 yep. Oh, sorry, material images. So,
Oh, there we go.
sorry.
Found it.
So I'm again just trying to pick something that's going to be quick to make. So I'm getting this mesh cutout. Or even the actually, I'm going to get this instead. This is more interesting. So this masonry unit, the breeze block sort of thing. Or not, yeah. If you want to, but no, it's up to you. Just anything you can trace.
How come I can't select it anymore?
If you can see it, you should be able to select it. Yep. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just place it anywhere, and then you can stretch it and move it just by clicking and dragging.
I can't select it. What do I do?
Oh, you've got it in sketch mode, so just spin that and just say yes, and then you can save it again. So there we go. So that's all I need. I don't need to copy it because I can just trace one and then repeat it. Now, really, this should be another file, but it's just going to get too difficult to control. Oh. No, I'll do it the less efficient way. So, look, there's going to be a lot of repetition here. So, whenever there's repetition, like I've been saying, it should be a separate file. I just didn't know I was doing this example, but yeah, no, I'll do it as a separate file. So, but I'll show you how you can do that. So here I'm going to make another extrusion in the front view, and I've just stretched this so that it fits evenly into that half of the panel. And then now I can make a new extrusion, and and because I know this needs to fit exactly, I'm going to measure across there just so I know what that is. So it's 470, and then so that divided by 2 is obviously.
Why is mine 472? Why is mine different?
I don't know, but if you use the same numbers as me, it should be okay. So you might be measuring diagonally, maybe. So, but again, if you use the same numbers as me, so 470, I'm going to divide by 2, make that 235. But if you make it 235, it'll be fine. So then I can just draw my rectangle from the corner up and to the right, very roughly. So the top right corner I just, again, guessed. But now I can select the line at the top and change that measurement to 235. And then the line at the bottom, the line on the right hand side, and then change the dimension at the bottom to 235. So just got to make sure it's exactly 235 both ways. And so now I'm going to draw these shapes, and luckily it's a symmetrical pattern. So whenever you have symmetry, the mirror tool saves you a lot of time. And so also though, having some reference planes can help. So I'm going to go back to the Create tab while I'm sketching and draw in reference planes that snap to the midpoints at the top to the bottom, and then the midpoint on the side going left to right. So we've got those center lines. That'll help a lot. So, do you want to be brave and guess how many lines I need to draw here before I can get the rest? Pretty close. 3. There's 3. You'd have to draw 3, but yeah, pretty close. Yeah. So it was. Yeah. So you've got this one, and then the top, and that's it. So I'll do that. So I'm going to draw the line at the top there, back to the middle.
And you're using reference planes? No.
Now I'm using the line tool.
So you've gone,
So I've done all of this while making the extrusion.
I haven't made an extrusion.
Oh yeah, so that's the first thing. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to line, and I'm going to draw on the same thing.
So I'm just using the arc tool to draw these curves, and again, it's good practice with the arc tool if you haven't used that.
I haven't used arc actually.
And actually, to help me with this, I'm going to do a diagonal reference plane as well, from the centre up through there. You could do it without it, but it's
Actually, I've used it without it.
definitely a good idea to have that. So now I can draw an arc by snapping to points on that reference plane, and I know it'll be symmetrical following the right angle.
I don't like my first line. They're so thick. Really thin lines.
Oh yeah, so a good trick there is to just change the scale. So you can make it thin lines, but if you go to say 1 to 5, that should give you a nice. So? Yeah, that's right. So it's not. It's good to still have some line weight rather than using thin lines all the time. But again, using a different scale sometimes is
Snapping it.
better.
It keeps.
Yeah, it'll try and do it parallel to the first arc. But what you can do then is
Parallel. It's completely off.
oh, is it? Okay, well then
It's not. It certainly doesn't look right though, from my eyes.
yeah. So I'm going to delete this and just draw it again. Sometimes it's easier. So now if it's zoomed in as well, should be easier. So I'm going to just click 2 points like before, and then if you zoom in, again, sometimes it makes it easier. We can see there it's still trying to snap. In my case, it's trying to snap parallel to something else. So I'm going to press Tab and see if that helps. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. That's right. So yeah, yeah. But changing the radius after the fact in Revit, gotta say it doesn't work as well as AutoCAD. So if I change this to a bigger radius, let's say 90, notice how it moves the ends. I just wanted to show you there, if you try to adjust it afterwards, sometimes it won't do what you want it to. So, so it can be easier just to draw it again. In AutoCAD, it's a bit better. Yeah, that's right. So if you delete both the arcs, sometimes that's better. And I think it is the other arc that. Oh no, it's something else. It's the end point. Yeah. So it's because the quadrant, because it's such a small arc. So yeah, it's difficult to get around that. But oh yeah, one trick is to draw a line where you think it should snap. So if I put a point there, so I've got the end of a line there, and now I can go and draw an arc again. So I've just drawn this line here, and now I can press Tab, and no, it doesn't even want to snap to that.
I think I'm going to do that arc first, and see if that makes a difference.
Yeah, no, well, it's actually snapping to itself. That's the problem.
Silly technology.
Yeah.
Hey.
So yeah, it's a difficult one. Let's see, there's got to be a way around it. Just can't think of any right now.
Can we not type in something like instead of it being 75.5? Like
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I should have thought of that. Okay, so yeah, that's 79.6, and here it's a bit low. That's 140 or so. So I'm going to type in one a bit smaller than that, so 130.
where are you? Which one? Oh,
So
that
just
one.
as I go to do the curve, then you can just start typing, and yeah, that has worked.
Oh wow, mine. I see.
Yep.
Okay, I read it on my-
So with a bit of trial and error, you'll get it right. So 130 was still too big, so I need a smaller radius. I'm going to try 100. I think should be about right. There we go, spot on. So that's a way.
Can you not stretch it after that?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, but if you do it symmetrically, it's just quicker to draw, because now that I've drawn these, like I said, 3 shapes.
You chose a bad one.
Well, that's good, because now once you get the first 3, then I can choose this arc, mirror pick axis, and then pick that diagonal. Same with this one and the line. Although I'll leave that for a second. I'll just choose this one, and then again mirror pick axis, choose the vertical,
You did 170, didn't you?
trim them together.
Mine disappeared all the way over there.
I did 100. My radius in the end was 100.
Oh,
Yeah.
never mind.
So, okay, so now I can choose this whole piece, mirror pick axis, and choose the diagonal again. And you can see how once you get a couple, you'll get the rest in no time.
This isn't cool. This doesn't look good for me. Come on, go.
So I'm using control just to select multiple lines, and I'll pick axis again. Yep, the 2 arcs and the line, yep. But then you've got to do a bit of working out to get the order, but otherwise it's mostly just mirroring.
Maybe I'm going the wrong way. Maybe
So the important thing here though is that
Sorry, that was Easter.
I'm not trying to trace the image religiously, I'm really more worried about it being symmetrical. Because that's easier and probably going to look better too.
So, and you just mirror it? Is that what you
Yeah,
do?
yeah.
Mirror. Now, with mirror, so I was using mirror a lot in
Yep.
my footnotes because it just makes sense to do that.
Yep.
When you have to do it again.
Yep.
And I found it easier to go dual axis.
Yeah, if you don't have anything to pick, then just use your axis, it's fine.
Okay. But normally you pick the centre of something.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
kind of how it works?
Yeah, and if you've got a symmetrical design, often you'll put reference planes in to locate the centre lines, so that you can mirror things easily. And that helps. If you know, you just in advance, if you know it's symmetrical, put the reference planes in. Makes everything easier, just like I've done here.
My hair is not working. Why is it doing it like that? Maybe I know.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, okay. I'll come have a look in a sec. But yeah. So, well, I'll just quickly finish this off. So there's only a little bit more to do. I'm going to make the extrusion start here -20, and you can do this any time. So you could do that right away while you're making the extrusion. And I'm going to make the end -60. So that means my depth that I'm left with should be 40. I'll just click tick to finish and show you now in 3D that it sits inside. Now, I might make it a little bit more elegant than that, make it a bit thinner.
That's so quickly, just FYI.
Yeah, but you know, again, once you get the general idea with the sketching, it shouldn't take too long. And so here, I'm just going to make the extrusion end come back a bit. So I'm going to make that -50, and then the start, I'll bring that the other way, so that will be -30, and that's going to leave me with just a 20mm piece. So I think that's better. Yeah. -30, so that's going to leave it as 20 deep. So I'm just going to do a little bit more, and then I'm done. I can have a look at any problems you've got. So the last big thing, though, is to put this into a new file. So remember, it's repeated. So I'm going to copy. I want to copy this now and fill up that screen with all these panels. But if I copy it here, I'm copying the whole extrusion. I'm copying all those lines and everything that I've drawn there. And it's got to store all those things repeatedly. And it also makes it hard if I've got to change them, like when you use model in place, I'd have to go and edit each one. So this is a good example where this needs to be in its own file. So this is a good trick. You can use this with model in place as well. Oh, that's fine, you can fix it. So, so here, if I select that, I'm going to just use copy to clipboard. And you can do this even if it's wrong. You can actually do this at any stage. And that's kind of the point of it. So when it's selected, as long as you click copy to clipboard, then making another file. So on the main menu, go to new, family, and metric casework. And then I'm not going to change any of these settings this time. I'm simply going to go to modify and click paste. That's it. So it's just a new file, so it's just another casework file. Yeah.
Oh, hang on, I need to copy that though, don't I?
Yeah, that's right. It's got to be copied first.
The one square that
Yep,
I copied?
yep, that's it.
So
Yep.
file, copy that file, then file new.
So I've clicked paste, and now I'm just going to click somewhere on the plane at the bottom. Just clicking the paste button. Oh, then it didn't copy properly, so yeah, so you just got to go back to your other file and copy it.
Oh, mine's not letting me select the case. What's going on now? Huh? Where are you looking for?
Oh, we haven't saved. I haven't saved it yet. Yeah, it would be family too. Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
So I'm going
Your family too. It'll be family too.
and then it's
Oh, to
bringing
look for it. Yeah, it's up here.
bringing up this screen.
Yeah, that's right. And then metric casework again. You need to make a new file.
I don't have those. Oh, I know. So that's in front of me. Sorry. I confused myself.
So if you want to go back and look at your other file, just click on the third last button on the quick access toolbar to close your hidden windows. So up here, this one here, again at the end of that toolbar, it'll go grey once you've clicked on it.
Which one?
Close hidden windows up there.
Oh, I just closed my... Uh-oh. I hadn't saved it.
You close the whole program.
No, I closed...
Yeah, it won't ask. It'll ask you. Yeah, so it's okay. So, oh, this is what I'm showing you now. So here, just make sure you close the hidden windows.
Yeah.
So that's this one up here. So near the end of the quick access toolbar at the top. And then next to that, you can click on the switch windows button and you'll see a list of all the files that you've got open.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you can go back to family 2 and then copy it again.
Okay, and how do you paste it in there?
Yeah, so I'm just going to select this and then just click copy to clipboard.
And it just dumps in anyway.
That's right.
Oh.
So you've got to go to the modify tab. So I've gone back to...
Looks like yours though. Mine's very different. Oh, I must have copied it into my wrong place. Oh, not mine at 100. 80. Still different. It still looks different. What have I done?
Oh, you just haven't changed the depth, that's okay. So, yeah, you can do that later.
Oh,
That's fine. So, no, leave it there. Just change it afterwards. That's okay.
so
That's good. So,
just 80? No.
I've made mine 20 here.
Oh, that's why it's so different.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, so click paste, and then it's all that's it. So,
Cool.
okay, so then, to help you position it, you could set the depth. So I'm going to change the depth over here, just like before, clicking on that number, and then I'll make it 20, and then that gives me something I can snap this to. You can probably just drag it, and it should snap to the lines or to the reference planes, and then but then to centre it going across, then you probably it's best to go to the front elevation, and there I can select it, and I'm going to click the move button.
Oh, mine doesn't have the external part.
It's okay, it doesn't really matter what it's got because you can change it and fix it. That's really the whole point of this. So after clicking move, I'm going to find the midpoint on the bottom edge.
So I just use my triangle.
Yeah. And then you need to just make sure constrain isn't ticked on the tool the options bar.
Constraint.
Yeah.
I don't have that. Whoa,
So you need to have clicked move. Yeah, it's the height's pretty arbitrary. Well, it's not, but it's
mine didn't do what yours is doing.
if you click move,
Move.
got to click the move button.
Oh, there we go.
Yep. So yeah, and then that's when you click the midpoint, and so.
Mine's centered. How is that?
Yeah, if it's centered, then you just need to bring it down. So here you can see, after clicking that base point on the midpoint on the edge, I've gone down to the intersection at the base. So this is at the ground line essentially, and so getting on that intersection there is really important. So this is centered now.
Mine just doesn't look perfectly centered.
That's just the ref. So it's in the front elevation. You'll see that ref level. Yep. So that's all I need to do. And in this file, I just needed to make that a separate file. And I'll probably come back and do more with it later. But for now, I'm just going to go and save as family.
Cool. I'm going to save it in my USB. I don't know why I didn't share. I thought, everyone wanted to know that. Family.
That's a good idea. Screen panel tile, that's a good name. That's what I'll do. Yeah, concrete block is it's just a type of concrete block. They do have, I think. So breeze blocks are sometimes what they're called, but breeze blocks, as far as I know, are a bit broader than that. So you can do other patterns with those, but that's the basic idea. Yeah, but this is, I mean, this is better than normal breeze blocks, you know, the standard ones. So they're doing good things with those now. So that's the thing to search for, though. Oh yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, look, it'd be difficult to get these to work with this project, I think. But you could take inspiration and do that pattern, but with a different material. I think with timber or something, it'd work pretty well in this building. So, and well, look, see, so I've done that that pattern that's got those curves in it. But now that I look at these, I'd probably decide that that more geometric pattern would work really well with this building. And yeah, those new ones, they're great. And so by doing it this way, though, all I need to do is come back to the this individual panel family and make a different pattern, and then it'll update every screen in the project. I might have, you know, 1,000 of them, but I just need to edit one little thing, and it'll propagate through the whole project. Yeah. So yeah, so I really like that. So maybe I'll call it screen panel tile because I'm going to do maybe variations on it. Version 01. And now I'm going to click load into project and then tick family 2.
I don't know what I'm doing now.
Oh, because you've made a few. So that's normal.
Hang on.
Yeah, so yours will probably, it'll be family 2.
Back to your family.
Yeah, you might have just made one or two extra. So I've got 3, but it's just I've given this one a name. So there you can see now that I've got that new, or that piece coming in the same way.
Oh, mine's wrong though. I think I have to do mine again. Oh, where did mine go?
Yep. So I'm going to just click there to place it anywhere, and it's a good chance to practice positioning. So I'm going to delete the one that I made earlier. I don't need that anymore. I've got this new one that's better, and I'll then find it in the plan view. So just opening up ref level in floor plans, and I'm going to use the align tool.
Yeah, because I didn't have these selected, so I don't have a tile. It may just be cutouts.
Maybe when you're making an extrusion, everything that you're drawing in that mode will
Yeah.
be part of the extrusion.
Yeah, exactly.
Why did mine not work?
So
Yeah, why didn't mine work?
Yeah, I think if you're...
Okay, so I didn't draw a rectangle. That's where I went wrong. Did everything but the rectangle? That's too lazy.
so oh yeah, that's what I did. Yeah.
And then
So
I go,
yeah.
then I go tick, then I select.
So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly draw a reference plane through the centre line here, again to help me position that screen, or the tile within the screen. And then now I'm going to use the align tool, pick that reference plane, and then I should be able to get... Oh no, I don't get a centre for this because I made it with casework. So I'll use move instead. Sorry? You could actually, yeah. That's how they build it, but I'll use move instead. So with it selected, I can click move, and then I'll be able to find the midpoint on the side there, and then I can snap that onto the reference plane. So then back into the front elevation, and I can delete that image now. I don't need that anymore. I can select also I can use align to line this up with the bottom edge there. So I picked that first, and now I need to use tab to get the edge of the tile. So then, just finishing off, I'll select this now and use the array tool. Yep. Oh yeah, you choose the thing to line up with first. Yeah, that always, yep, has to be in the right order. So just putting 4 in for the count there. Sorry, and so yeah, so
Which is such a great tool.
it is,
Thank
it
you
is,
for
yeah,
sharing that
sure,
with us.
yeah. But here I'm going to use it really just as a quick copy. So yeah, and so I've selected these after doing the array, and now I'm going to go to Ungroup. Just to make it a little bit simpler, I'm going to do array again. Now the other way.
Okay, I'm going to save mine.
And I'll try 10. So 10's too many, let's try 8.
And then I need to go, I've saved that. So I'm talking out aloud.
That's all right.
And then I,
Default to, you mean the material name? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And if I just went ahead and did it and didn't change the default from 2, I would get the little number here next to it.
Oh, yeah, you've got to have the group and associate option turned on. If it's turned off, so when you click on array, it'll give you that option to group and associate. So that has to be on. On. Yeah. Yeah, and then you'll get, well, you might not see it, but it'll be there. If you just type, it'll go in. Yep.
how did you
Oh, I'll come and have a look and see.
How did you find your newly created tile? Can you go back to the tile, the original, to replace this one?
With your files?
I've gone from the tile that I. Oh, no, I didn't. This one?
So I'm just going to save this anyway quickly, and then I'm almost done. So this is screen panel.
And then I delete.
Okay, so one last load into project and back into family 1 where we started. So this is going to line up pretty well.
How come it's not the right thickness though? How come I didn't get the right thickness in there? I don't think I loaded the right one into my family.
So let's copy that using the center lines, and I'm done. So they're 3 panels in a file, and
That's not right. You're amazing. Look how quick you are. Slow down.
yeah. So I'm just going to finish this, and then I'll come have a look at any issues you've got. So screen 3 panel. This will be.
Oh no, I have got more than one there. Good spotting there. I just didn't change my screen thickness is more than 20, but my how thick is your? Do you mind if I just rotating? Oh yeah.
Okay, so now one last. Yep. So
So did you just copy it across? Like, is that what I should do?
pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you arrayed. Oh, okay, you're good idea.
So, yeah, I'll give you some time to work on that, but I'll obviously have a look at any issues you've got.